video. They might have talked about a few things, but I've never seen them like do a full-on video about it. So I'm making a list for Boog and the weanling, because the weanling is coming probably by the time you guys see this in a day. Each horse has a progress list. Each horse that I work with. And their progress is based on up until the day that they leave. So for example, let's see if I can find Rose's progress list. I'll have to find hers later and put it in a binder. I don't think I ever made Rose hers. I think I made Skyla's hers. So, for instance, you guys probably won't be able to read this because it's in like a gold glitter pen. But this is what Skyla's looks like. So for instance, Skyla. There's 5, what do you want to call it, subjects. So you have on the ground, under saddle, then you have what you're currently working on, and then you have the information of the horse. Like what, like Rose would be, pretty much info's like a problem kind of area, where, or it could, yeah, info is like their problem area, pretty much what you're working on. So like Rose, it would be her issue where when you go behind her when she eats, she kicks. And fixed and no more problem is 5. So I'll give an example. When I did this list, Skyla on the ground was learning smile, rear, lay down, no ropes, 2 types of hugs, liberty, lift feet, and all groundwork. So for an example, under saddle would be walk, trot, canter, back, side pass, that stuff. What we were working on when I made this was lifting the back feet, rollbacks, turning faster, spinning, whoa, collection, hill work, her going where she's asked because she brought that a lot, moving when I'm on another horse behind her. So what that means is, like, if I'm on another horse and she's loose in the pasture and I want to round her into another pin, she would kick at the horse. And when I did it to Rose, when I was on Skyla, Rose would snake us and then kick out. And so we want them to be able to be rounded up by other horses in case of an emergency. They are on an almost 300-acre property. If they need to go out there and round them up, it needs to be able to be done. And then her info was we needed a trailer to work on loading and unloading, which never happened. She doesn't like back feet messed with too much, gets worried by deep water, sometimes pushy, likes to toss her head a lot. With a loose rein, will rear under saddle if pushed. So that's kind of like the basic. I have Rose's somewhere. So I'm just going to go through the list. And I'm going to tell you there's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 lists, obviously. There's no info list yet on their issues because this is just kind of my guide. I don't have like a method like Clinton, but these are things that I will go through late at night when I get the horse under saddle and kind of go through and check on my groundwork and on under saddle, and kind of check through. And I actually think I know where Roses went. I think Roses went with the owners, but I forgot to give them Skyla's. I think that's where Roses went. So and this is just kind of like a little information packet when the owners go home. So this is my expectations. We'll start with groundwork, obviously. So first thing is halter training. Then we have tying and ground tying. Then we have whoa, and these aren't in order. Then we have backup, touching body all over, and also playing with the ears and mouth, picking up their feet and picking them out. Boog's front feet I can pick up, but if I go to pick them out, that's a big problem with him. Pulling on their feet, their tails, and their legs, flexing them, backing up onto things. A lot of people won't do that. I like to back them up onto the bridge or the teeter-totter. Just a good thing for them to know. I like to back them up onto the tires. trained to come to whistle in a treat bucket. We whistle, they come, and the owners like to use a treat bucket, and they come lunging on and off the line, chop holes by lunging, giving baths, yield hind and forequarter, cross tying. Rose had a big issue with cross tying. We tied her up in the barn alleyway with two 15-foot lead ropes that were super loose the first time, and she shook her head, and she had been desensitized to the whip. You could do the whip all over her face and she'd drop her head and go to sleep. You cross tied her, one on each side, and she flipped out, reared up, pulled back, and the only thing that stopped her from slamming her head into the ground was the ropes pulled her back and put tension to where she didn't actually fall back completely. And that was 2.5 years ago, I think so, something like that. And the rope is still there, stuck on the barn wall. Nobody can get it off. We tried cutting it, and it's such a thick cotton rope, it's really hard to cut without a saw. We've tried taking forks and knives and screwdrivers and trying to, and it's not, yeah. Going into stalls and a medicine chute. A lot of people don't think that's a big issue, but a lot of horses are claustrophobic. You go to send them into a stall or take them into a stall or take them in or out. If you guys have seen the videos with Boog on stall rest, there's a few times he kind of tried to go out on top of me. It wasn't like anything bad, but he still wasn't respectful of, hey, I need to wait. I gotta find it again. Lunging through tight spots until they're relaxed. A lot of people just want to lunge them back and forth until they think the horse understands it, quit, and they don't wait until the horse is relaxed, and they'll just kind of, if the horse is high strung, they'll, oh, well, they're going through, that's enough. Maybe in the beginning, but you need to start making it longer until they're relaxed going through it. Go. Side passing, liberty work. That's not like a necessity, but I feel like it makes the horse trust you more. And that can just be like a small circle like I did with Boogs, where I did it on the video where I tapped him on the side and he walked a circle around me. Now we're at the point where I can tap him on the side, he'll walk a circle around me with his nose in and his body arched, and then he'll yield his hindquarters and back up. Okay, I already said lunging on and off line. Lowering head, that's a big one. Teaching to trot and canter while you in rhythm. Boog is really hard to get going under the trot on the ground when you're running with him. Ground driving and trailering. So that is my expectations for groundwork. Obviously, I'm missing quite a few things, but we'll get there. Desensitizing work. I have that one. We have and obviously I'm missing a lot of things on this list, but I have things written down that I have. So yeah. We have the whip, the tarp, a ball, a hose. Believe it or not, hoses can be very scary for horses, being dragged underneath them and around them, touching their legs while you're washing off a different part of them. Hula hoops, bridge, saddle, dragging things, flags, signs like no trespassing and all that. Rose was terrified of those. Dogs, pool noodles, the highway. We live right next to a highway, luckily. Water. Horses can be terrified of water, whether it be spraying at them or going through it. Train and train tracks, we have that. Mailboxes, cars, trucks, guns, popping and carrying balloons. You guys have seen my videos on those. Spray bottles. Wrapping legs and tails. A lot of people don't think about that, but when I get a horse in for training, as soon as I get them halter broke and get them used to me touching all over their body, I will take vet wrap, and I'll wrap it around their tail like you would a pregnant mare, and I'll wrap it around their legs, and I'll leave it on them for a few hours and just leave them out in the field so that they can get used to something, so that if something ever happens medically where they need to be wrapped, they have it. Going through tires, you guys have seen that process. Leg and bell boots. Tying loose coats to the saddle, they can get used to the flapping, and if you always tie your coat tight, the one time that you tie it loose and they've never had it done, they're going to freak out. Not always, but probably. Tying bags to the saddle and milk jugs. I've tied milk jugs full of rocks, dirt, water, and treats onto the saddle and things so it shakes and makes a lot of noise. putting things under the tail dock. If you're ever going to use, I forgot what they're called, but they use them on the pack horses and it goes underneath the tail dock. Oof, Boog would blow up about that. So we're kind of just sticking the whip under there, and if he tightens it, I just let him go until he loosens his tail and he figures out himself, oh, this is how I get rid of the release. I have to relax. Things moving in the face and overhead. My next topic is riding. What I expect under saddle. Now, obviously, I don't expect all this stuff right away. It's going to take time, just to make that clear. Riding. Saddling and flapping of the saddle. Lunging with the bit and the saddle in. A lot of people just want to use the saddle, and then when they do the first ride, they introduce the bit, and they wonder why they can't get the horse's head. Just saying. We take the bit and put it on them, and we leave them in the pasture with some food for about an hour, with no reins, no saddle, nothing else on. We leave them in the round pen, so there's like no posts for them to get caught up on. And my window, you look out it, and it goes right to the round pen, so I can see the entire round pen from my window. So I make sure on a day where I'm going to be in my room for an hour or so, doing some project or something, I can sit on the middle of my bed and look right out my window and play on my laptop or something, and I'm able to keep an eye on the horse. I wouldn't do it if I wasn't able to keep an eye on the horse. Where was I? Moving off of stirrups. I made the big mistake with the girls of not teaching them how to move away from the stirrup, and then when I got on, I had a heck of a time getting them to move. So that's now on that list. Obviously, walk, trot, canter, and whoa. Backing up. One rein stops. Collection. I'm not like a big, huge thing on collection, but I want to know if my horse gets spooked. I can kind of collect it and get it to pay attention to me. And building up their back. Rounding up other horses, as I said earlier. Neck reining. Rollbacks. Spinning. Open and closing gates. Going through gates. That was a big issue with the girls. Just leading them on the ground, going through the gates, they would flip with the saddle on. Like, not like flip over, but they would freak out. So that's a big one. Jumping. I don't necessarily think you have to teach every single horse how to jump, but when Boog first got here, he wouldn't even go over a trot pole on the ground. He was terrified of it. So I do like to put him in a Western saddle and make like a big jump, maybe up to my knees, maybe a little higher, and I'm about 5 foot, so you can kind of estimate how tall that is. But that's just so that if you ever go over a big tree, we have really thick, huge trees on our property that are down that the horses go over when you ride them to get up the hill. So I want to make sure that they're comfortable of going over a jump with the Western saddle and the English saddle without a rider, because if they're going to buck without a rider, they're going to buck with a rider. Dragging things under saddle. Also, I said dragging things on the ground. Preparation. Packing, side passing. I like to do pole bending and barrels on them because it teaches them, barrels teaches them how to go fast and still pay attention to you. And pole bending teaches them how to weave and stay soft and still pay attention to you. It's not like a thing that's necessary, but that's what I like to do. I like to do counter bending. I like sliding off their butt, riding bareback, and ponying other horses. And then the last topic is not a necessity, but it is something fun to do with the horse if the owner okays it. I will not do it until the owner okays it because I don't want to teach them any tricks that, like the girls, I taught them how to rear, and then whenever I rode them, they would rear up, and I had to go back and correct that. Again, I did a video on that. If you're not going to correct when they do it when you don't ask, then don't do it, because the girls figured out, oh, well, if I don't want to back up or if I don't want to move without my buddy, I can just stand here and rear it. And I'd have to back them up. Sometimes I'd have to pop that bit real hard and take a spur on them. And it just made it a big fight. And then they started doing it in the round pen when they didn't want to work. So I kind of cracked the whip. And then towards the end, they weren't completely 1000% better, but they rarely ever did it without me asking them to, because they learned, oh, when I rear up without being asked, there's going to be a repercussion, or there's going to be a lot of work involved. And when I am asked to do it and I do it, there's a reward. So the tricks. is the next topic. Sit. I was working on Skyla with that, but he took her before I was able to finish it. Rearing up, laying down, smiling, hugs, and bowing. So yeah, those are my expectations. The tricks, not really. For my own horse, yeah, I would like it. But I gotta make Boog's progress sheet. I gotta make the filly sheet. I'm not sure, again, how long she's gonna be here. I'll give you a little insight on how the girls were when they left. So, this is what the page looks like. So, I will read it word for word. It says 2019, what the horses know and what I'm working on. On the ground, Rose knows rear on command, lay down with ropes, hug, some liberty, lift feet, and all groundwork. Under saddle, she knows, and this is for Rose and Skyla. Back, walk, trot, canter, roll, neck rein, flex, side pass, barrels, jumping, hill work, swimming, and rollbacks. I think it's very important to do a lot of hill work and swimming with your horses, because if you ever go into like a creek, like I did in that one video that I showed you guys where I went trail riding with Rose, the day before I had done that, it looked like it was about that deep we went in, and my legs were wet is how deep we went down. And she didn't panic because we had taken her in there a few times, but on a different part of the creek. So she already knew, but sometimes that can be really scary for the horse, and they can rear up and then they slip on those slippery rocks and then you get into a big accident. So I always like to go take them on the ground and make them kind of swim a little bit on their own. That's when you'll see some of the pictures in the intro of me just kind of doing that. What we were working on when they left was spinning, turning better, because they would sometimes fight it, lifting their back feet, because they were pretty bad with their back feet, no matter how much I worked on it. Some horses, it just takes a long time. Collection, asking for speed without attitude, Rose and Skyla. If you did not ride Rose with spurs and you asked her for faster than a canter or a fast canter, she would slam on the brakes, reach back and nip at you, and then rear up and slam her face into yours. But as soon as you had spurs on, whether you touched them with her or not, and you asked her for a canter, it's like she knew you had spurs on. She wouldn't do that. Skyla would shake her head and throw a little buck. So, not like a big buck, but like a crow hop buck. Counter bending, backing straight or onto things, not being stiff in the mouth, head and neck, and going where I ask, moving when I'm on another horse behind her. The information on them was they spook at things no matter how much you work on it with her. She's super stiff and fresh if you don't ride her every day. She hates her back being messed with longer than a minute or two, and she needs a farrier or a trailer to work with trailering. She will rear or throw a small buck if pushed. And that was Rose. So, I don't know. I just thought I would do kind of a different video. I gotta find Rose's. I thought this was both girls, but now looking at it, I don't think it is. I have so many binders, it's not even funny. But, yeah, this is kind of... Oh, okay, this was Skyla's. Okay, I found it. I did Rose differently, so I'll read you guys Skyla's real quick. Okay, so on the ground, she knows smile, rear on command, lay down with no ropes, 2 types of hugs, some liberty, lift feet, and all groundwork. Under saddle, she knows walk, trot, canter, some backing, side pass at walk and trot, counter bend, some hills. Skyla had a habit of rearing up with you on the hills, and or if there was another horse down in the valley or up on the back of the hill and you were riding, she'd flip out because she wanted to be right beside them. So we did tons and tons of ponying with her. And she was getting better with me, and we were going to put another rider on her, but then they took her home, so they know what their issues are. I did write down at least their issues so that they wouldn't, forget in a couple years when they go to ride them. They don't really ride as much as I do, so they'll be off for a while. Barrels, some swimming, some rollbacks, some jumping, what I mean by that is sometimes she would still pull through. Neck rein and flex. We were working on lifting her back feet, rollbacks, turning faster, spinning, collection, hill work, going where she's asked, moving when I'm on another horse. I think I read all this. I'm sorry if I just read this for a second time. We needed to work on trailer loading. Doesn't like back feet messed with. Gets worried by deep water. Skyla did get worried by deep water. Sometimes pushy. tossing her head a lot, and yeah, so I'm not going to read that because I just realized I just read that twice to you guys. I'm sorry. So I'm going to make Boogs, and I hope you guys enjoyed this different type of video. I did not expect it to be that long, but I'll kind of show you what the lists look like. So this is the trick list. Probably going to show it backwards. This was the riding list. And of course, like I said, I'm going to add things to it as I get more horses to work with. Just sensitizing. I know you guys can't really see it. I'm just kind of showing you what it looks like and how it's laid out. Groundwork. And then this was like their portfolio. This is Skyla's. It's in glitter. You can't see it. I'll show you Rose's. So this is like the info, the working on, under saddle, and on the ground. And then this is like what year it was and their name. So yeah, I'm gonna make one for Boog and one for the baby. And I will see you guys in my next video, which should be the reveal of the baby. Please, please, please comment down below what color you think she is. And please, please, please share my channel. I don't want to lose it with the shutdown. So as many more subscribers as I can get, I'm hoping that'll kind of help towards me keeping it. So yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. And I hope you enjoyed it because I enjoyed making it. And I was thinking of a video idea and I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, well, I'll do this video. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.